everybody, welcome back to yet another session of the Hopry. My name is Mark Starr, and tonight we're going to focus on round 2 of Founders Brewery Week. So Monday we took a look at the Backwoods Bastard, which was a wee heavy Scotch ale aged in oak bourbon barrels, clocked in around 10.2% I think. But today I'm going to go to the next beer, which is the Founders Nemesis. Now, Founders Nemesis is a beer that was only brewed once. In fact, I don't think they're going to brew this one again. It was brewed in 2009. So if you're lucky enough to still find some out there, I would definitely grab them up, though I don't think you're probably going to find any of these still on the shelves. You know, Founders is a really highly sought after brewery, and when they do something once, only in 12-ounce bottles, chances are they're going to fly and be gone. So one thing that makes this one particularly interesting to me, though, is that it's aged in their maple bourbon barrel. So I'm not sure, well, I am sure that you guys have heard of Founders Canadian Breakfast Stout. The Canadian Breakfast Stout, really the only difference between that I know of and the Kentucky Breakfast Stout is that the Kentucky Breakfast Stout, which is right here, we'll look at that one on Friday, but that one's aged in purely, you know, oak bourbon barrels. But their Canadian Breakfast Stout is aged in the same barrel as this one, which is the maple bourbon, say that one fast, maple bourbon barrel aged beer. So again, really looking forward to this one. I know it was a pretty small batch, pretty small run. As far as ABV, I think this one is right at 12%. It is a wheat wine style, so much like a barley wine, except that, you know, I would imagine they probably use wheat instead of barley. I've only had maybe 3 wheat wines in my life. Had pretty good, you know, turnouts on all of them so far. Again, really enjoyed this one, but I'm going to go ahead and try it again and kind of see where we end up. Again, I've let this one sit for a while, much like the beer that we did on Monday. I think if you kind of let these beers, especially the beers that are aged in barrels, if you give them a little bit of time to calm down, I think they taste a little bit better. And by calm down, I simply mean, you know, give it some time for the alcohol heat and the burn to kind of subside a little bit. So I'm hoping that it's done that with this one. 12%, that's a pretty strong beer. So, alrighty, set that one up there for you. Again, I mean, just an absolutely gorgeous beer. I mean, Founders is just rocking my socks off these days. Now, I will tell you that there's quite a bit of sediment in this one. I may have, you know, moved it around a little bit too much when I was talking about it. No big deal. It's not going to mess up the flavor of the beer. But aside from the sediment that's kind of floating around in here, this thing is autumn golden brown. I mean, it is absolutely stunning. Now, I will tell you right off the bat, see, party foul, you get it on the coffee table, got to get that off so it doesn't eat through the wood, but it smells good though. Anyway, yeah, not a whole ton of head. I'm going to give it a little swirl here just to kind of open it up a little bit. You know, people talk about you should never swirl a beer. Yeah, you should actually, because what you're doing when you swirl a beer is you're kind of opening up the aromas. If there's any residual heat, you know, from the bourbon barrel aging or just the pure amount of alcohol in it, by giving it a little bit of swirl and letting it aerate, you're really kind of, I guess, expediting the, you know, the alcohol burn, kind of the fumes getting out of that glass. And I don't like to just, I mean, if I wanted to do that, I'd just go open up a bottle of scotch. But, so anyway, again, really nice, beautiful color, very small amount of head on this one. I can tell that there's a pretty good amount of viscosity on the beer because even as I'm just kind of sitting here talking about it, it's really gripping onto the side of the glass. But I'm going to go ahead and smell it, though I already can, but just kind of get the, you know, the full effect of what it's got to offer up. And it just got all over the place here. Yeah, so it definitely smells like fall to me. There's a lot of caramel in here. There's maybe just a touch of spice. I think I'm really getting a lot from that barrel. Though, you know, I will tell you, because most beers these days are aged in just pure, you know, oak bourbon barrels, I think my nose is a little bit more trained to, you know, look for those smells as opposed to something that's got maple in it. It does smell sweet. It kind of reminds me of the Southern Tier Pumpkin on the nose, you know, where you can get that kind of fall smell, or autumn, however you say it. Maybe a touch of spice, lots of caramel sweetness in there. Not a whole lot of, spice. I don't know. The spice is kind of puzzling me on this one. Mostly caramel, you know, caramel and sugar and candy and, you know, bourbon. Not even, well, I'm telling you, it's really kind of a perplexing nose. I'm going to have to take a while on this one, but let me go ahead and taste it, and I'll kind of smell it afterwards, and maybe that'll kind of, you know, unfold some things as well. So there's a little bit of heat in there, not a whole lot. Miles and miles of caramel, though. Again, I go back to the flavors of like the pumpkin. This really reminds me of the pumpkin a lot. It doesn't have a pumpkin flavor, but if you take the pumpkin component out of that pumpkin, I think you're almost left with about the same beer. Obviously, there's a little bit more alcohol burn on this one, you know, because again, it's 12%. But this is nothing like a barley wine. I'm not reminded in any way of a barley wine. So the fact that it's a wheat wine, you know, and most people would probably think that a wheat wine and a barley wine taste very similar. In this scenario, it does not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of this. I think it's pretty damn good, but I think there's just something in there missing. And I don't know if it is, you know, maybe some spice component that would make it better. Maybe a little bit of hoppiness, like an aromatic end hop would really kind of add something nice. You know, barley wines are heavily hopped, so, you know, it would be nice, you know, since this is a wheat wine, to have it heavily hopped as well. I think that really might kind of add to the beer, maybe add a little bit of complexity. But I think really it's not one-dimensional. I would say it's more, you know, two-dimensional. Lots of caramel, that barrel, a little bit of alcohol, but I think that's probably about it. Definitely don't like this one as much as, you know, the Backwoods Bastard. I think that one was still a better beer to me. But, you know, I'd have to figure out what this would taste good with. I see this being more of a food beer. Maybe, you know, obviously because it reminds me of Thanksgiving, maybe it would go great with Thanksgiving. You know, some good turkey and some sweet potatoes and green beans, and you know what we eat over here. But well, anyway, guys, I'm going to sit here and try to work my way through it. I still want to see if I can't nail down the nose on this, though maybe there's really nothing to nail down. Maybe it really is just kind of, you know, two-dimensional like I'm thinking it is. But I'll go ahead and sit here and try to figure it out and maybe update it with my, my written portion of my review that you can see by going to www.thehopry.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/thehopry. Leave me comments, start conversations. I love to talk about beer. If you think my review's full of shit, you know, be polite about it, be diplomatic about it. But, you know, bring any good conversations you got. I'm happy to talk about the beers that we're reviewing. Hopefully you drink these beers as well and really have some good input as well. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sit here and finish it off. But my name is Mark Starr, and we'll see you Friday for the big KBS. All right? Looking forward to it. See you guys.